Hi everyone, so I'm back today to do my 32 and 33 week pregnancy update. I'm going to do them together because last week I didn't have a chance to record this video for you. I was super busy and I've just had so much going on. I have a lot to tell you guys. So let's get started with, in the beginning of the week, I remember I told you guys that I had to go in for an ultrasound at 32 weeks. So that was last week, and that appointment was so that they could check my placenta and make sure that it had moved away from my cervix. So we did the ultrasound, and the ultrasound technician told me that everything looked great and that the placenta did move away from my cervix, so I was ready to go. And she also measured the baby. She measured his head and his abdomen and also his legs, I believe. She said that he is measuring right on time, so that means he's growing properly and that he's healthy. I also got to see that he is already in the head down position, so he's getting ready for labor. And my placenta was something that me and my husband were both really worried about, so as soon as she told us that everything looked good with that, we were really excited, and we kind of just thought that everything was going to go smoothly after that and that we weren't going to have any other complications, but that was not the case. I want to say a few days after my ultrasound, I started to have some cramps. I just felt like his head was pushing down on my cervix really hard. And at first I didn't really know what it was, and then I started to think maybe they were Braxton Hicks contractions. So I kind of just thought it was normal, and then they started to get a little bit worse. I remember being at my friend's house. I was just sitting down on the couch and I could feel him pushing down on my cervix, and my stomach would get really hard. And I asked my friend, because she already has 4 kids, if she remembers what Braxton Hicks felt like, and if it was too early to start having them, because at that time I thought that's what I was feeling. So my husband and I got home like around midnight that night, and we started playing a game of ping pong with just like the ball and the paddles. We were just like bouncing it back and forth to each other. Right before I went to sleep, everything was fine. We thought everything was good. We were getting ready to go to sleep. We were really happy, and I went to the bathroom and everything was fine. But when I went again, I saw that I had a ton of blood on the toilet paper. So I was freaking out. Like, I instantly freaked out, because in the beginning of my pregnancy, I always would check my toilet paper, and my husband would always ask me if I checked my toilet paper for blood, because we already knew that since I have PCOS, that the chances of me having a miscarriage were higher in my first trimester. So we would always check, and every time I wouldn't have any blood, so we would think that we were okay. And then after the 20 weeks, we thought that everything was fine, that I was good and that I wouldn't miscarry. But we kind of just forgot that you can miscarry at any time in your pregnancy. We just kind of thought that since I was already out of my first trimester, that I was good and that we weren't going to have to worry about it. And that's one of the first signs of miscarriage, is bleeding. So when I saw that blood, that's the first thing I thought. I just didn't know what was going on. We were super scared. So my husband was also freaking out. So he said, "Get dressed, I'm taking you to the emergency room right now." And the first thing that I did was I texted my friend, who is a labor and delivery nurse at the hospital where I'm going to be having my baby. She's also the same girl that I'm doing the Lamaze classes with. I texted her and asked her if I should go to the emergency room or go to labor and delivery. So she told me to go to labor and delivery. So we showed up to the hospital a little bit before 12:30 at night, and they checked us in. They put me in a room and they asked me to give them a urine sample. And I got into the robe, and they connected me to the machine where they check for the baby's heartbeat, and then they also check if you're having contractions. So once they had the machines connected to me, we could see and hear the baby's heartbeat. So that was like a big sigh of relief, because we knew that the baby was okay. And then when she told me that she was going to monitor me to see if I was having contractions, in my head I was like, no, they're not going to see any contractions. Like, I'm not I haven't been feeling contractions. I think I would know if I was. So it turned out that I was having contractions. In fact, I was having pretty mild contractions every 4 minutes. And I didn't know they were contractions. I thought the baby was just moving around in there, and the pressure that I was feeling in my cervix was just him like getting comfortable or something, but they were actual full-blown contractions. So I then started to think that I was going into labor and that I was gonna have my baby at 32 weeks, which is way too early. I remember feeling super guilty at that moment because that weekend I had been working like crazy. I remember having a really busy day at work, and I was up on my feet for 6 hours straight with no break in between, and that I caused this to happen. So I was in the room like crying, freaking out that I'm gonna have this baby and that I wasn't ready. I didn't have anything ready. Like, I didn't have my hospital bag ready. I didn't have any clothes washed for the baby. I didn't have anything. So I was freaking out. My husband was freaking out as well. He was trying to stay calm, but I know that he was freaking out, and he was trying to stay super calm and positive, and I just felt like I really needed him. So they were monitoring me for a couple of hours, and thankfully my doctor was at the hospital that night because one of her other patients was going into labor, so she was already there at the hospital. And she came into my room like a couple hours later and told me that they were going to do an exam to see where the bleeding was coming from. They said sometimes they can figure out where it comes from and sometimes they can't. And as long as they check everything and make sure that the baby's okay, that sometimes it just happens and they can't tell you why it happened. So she did an exam and she noticed right away that it was because of an infection. So turns out that I had an infection. She gave me a prescription. I just had to take one pill and it literally went away within 24 hours. This is going to be completely TMI, by the way, so I would skip a couple of minutes of this video if you do not want to know too much information about me. So a couple of weeks before all of this happened, I had mentioned to my doctor that the discharge down there had changed color, and I asked her if that was normal. And she was like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. Like, when you're pregnant, you have a lot of discharge down there, and that's completely normal. Don't worry about it. You're totally fine. I didn't have any other symptoms besides the color change. I didn't have any burning. I didn't have any itching. I didn't have anything. I didn't have anything other than the color change. So she thought it was completely normal. I thought it was normal. So I didn't really think anything of it. And I was going to mention it to her the next appointment that I had, which was the next day after I was already in the hospital, and I was going to let her know that it had gotten a little bit worse. But I ended up going into the hospital the day before, so I got to see her. And turns out that it was an infection and that it was something super easy to fix. Like I said, she just gave me the prescription for one pill and it literally went away super fast. The next day I was still having contractions, but when she checked me, she saw that my cervix was still really thick and that I hadn't dilated at all. It was just because of the infection. So thank God everything is okay. My baby's okay. I'm fine. She told me I do need to slow down a little bit at work. She said I have to take breaks whenever I can and make sure that I drink a lot of water. So I've been trying to do that lately. It's been a little bit hard because this week was Thanksgiving, so I had a lot of clients come in. I cut hair for a living, if you guys didn't know. But I spaced out my appointments to where I would go for only 2 hours straight at a time, and then I would take a little break, and then I would go another 2 hours straight at a time. I haven't been overworking myself like I usually do. I usually go at least 6 hours straight without taking any breaks. I've been trying to be better at just slowing down a little bit at work. Ever since that happened where I had to go into the hospital, I've been super paranoid about everything. I've been really emotional lately and just very sensitive to like everything. And I am trying really hard to really pay attention to my body, and it's good but it's bad at the same time, because every little movement that I feel, I start to freak out and think that I'm having a contraction or something, or that something's wrong with the baby. But everything's been fine. I haven't seen my doctor ever since, but I will get to see her next week, and I'll let you guys know if anything changes. Like I said, this week was Thanksgiving. I have so much to be thankful for this year. I'm so glad that everything's okay with my baby, and I'm gonna have my baby in just a few short weeks. Also, my baby shower is coming up. I'm super excited about that. I hope I can record a little bit of the baby shower and share that with you guys. I also started using a different product this week for my stretch marks, because I ran out of the one that I was using at the beginning of my pregnancy. So I started using this bio oil. A friend actually recommended it to me. She told me that it really helped out with her stretch marks, and that she even used it after her pregnancy, and it really faded away any stretch marks that she did get. And I got the little size because I wanted to see what it felt like and if I liked it, and I absolutely love it so far. It's just an oil. It's not a lotion like the other stuff that I was using. I really like it because my skin absorbs it in really well, and I do have a couple of stretch marks now. They're down lower than my belly button, off to the side, so it's a really hard spot for me to look at. I'm probably gonna go get the bigger bottle so that I could use it after I have the baby, and hopefully help fade away some of those stretch marks. And the stretch marks don't really bother me. It's not like I'm gonna be showing my stomach to everybody anytime soon, but I think it's important to use this stuff to help the skin stretch and help it to go back after labor. And I also thought that I was gonna get away without any swelling in my pregnancy, but yesterday was the first day that my feet got super swollen, so I had to wear sandals to our Thanksgiving dinner. My hands are also starting to get swollen. My ring used to fit me really loose, and now it's like getting really tight. I don't think I'm going to be able to wear it all the way to the end of my pregnancy. Ever since I got home from the hospital, I've been really wanting to get my hospital bags ready, because I realized that I could go into labor literally any day now, and you never know when it's going to happen. So I just want to get that stuff ready and packed. I'm going to wash the baby's clothes hopefully this weekend, and also have it ready for him for when he comes. I'm also planning on recording a what's in my hospital bag video, so keep a lookout for that video in the next couple of weeks or so. So I think that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I will be back next week. Bye.